Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Rogue Sun podcast. This is a show where we talk about the supernatural side of the massive verse, aka Rogue Sun, by Ryan Parrott and Abel. I'm your host, Bash, and I'm joined by my friends and my fellow hosts, Addie and Charlie. How are you guys doing today?
I'm doing great. Infernals issue 4. It's exciting. It's getting good. I'm excited to talk about it with you guys. How about you, Charlie?
Oh yeah, weather's been getting nice over here, almost
Yeah.
summertime. So been golfing a lot lately. NBA finals been going on. We didn't talk about that. Kind of sucked. Team we've been rooting for is kind of getting smashed up, but it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. There's always next year, right? But yeah, doing good. Excited to be back, and Mr. Bash is back too. From my part of the woods in Toronto. How was your trip, man? All good.
Good, yeah. I wanted to hang out, but unfortunately, it was a lot of work. I kept bouncing from place to place. I had to go to Ottawa for a couple of days as well to do
Oh
work
man,
there.
nice,
But yeah, good overall. Yeah, it is. It's getting warmer. The pool's open now, and our apartment pool's open. So
nice. Hell yeah.
decided to go
Nice.
for a
Yeah.
swim. But before we dive further, I just want to give my condolences. Unfortunately, in the comic community, we've had a big passing away. You guys might know him as the comic historian, aka slash
Oh
manga
yeah.
historian,
Oh yeah.
aka
Yeah.
Benny Potter. Been watching him for the better part of 10 years now. So that one hit hard, unfortunately. I'm really sorry to hear the news. Of course, we fully support Benny, and our deepest condolences to his family and to his wife Natalie. I heard that they're going to keep the channel going, and that really warms my heart. I can't wait to
Yeah.
see what they do with it. But again, just a massive respect and condolences to Benny Potter and his family. So rest in peace.
Yeah.
Gone but never forgotten, and he leaves one hell of a legacy, being the biggest comic book YouTuber around. And
Yeah.
if everyone who's in comics knows how important he is to comics and what a good ambassador of comics he was. So he's always going to be missed. And yeah, this one's for you, Benny. Thanks for everything. But yeah,
100%.
now that we've gotten the unfortunate news out of the way, let's talk about some some other stuff, aka the Infernals #4, which is the second comic book series we're covering on this podcast. If you don't know, we also do the Radiant Black podcast, where we talk about the cosmic side of the massive verse, which we love, and we recently hit 300 subscribers. So thank you to everybody for that journey. Let's keep it going. We're doing the journey to 500 now. And I actually have a Radiant Pink and a Radiant Black Volume 4 trade paperbacks to give away soon. So got two of those in stock to give away. But without further ado, let's talk about the Infernals. I'll pull up the cover here in a second. And yeah, guys, it's been one hell of a series. So this is the Infernals right here, the Infernals #4. We've got this gorgeous cover by John Pearson, and of course the creative team of Ryan Parrott, Noah Gardner, John Pearson, and Hassan Athman Al-Hal. We've been looking forward to this issue for a while because
Mhm.
this is the one finally spotlighting one of our favorite characters of the whole book, which is B. And you can see Sam in the background there, which when you look at the cover, I feel like every cover so far has been something that actually happens in the book. And when I first looked at the cover, I'm like, damn, what's going to happen? And then we'll talk about that when we get to the end. But the last page is pretty much the cover. So,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
for sure. Yeah, no, this was great. And yeah, getting into her, and then, yeah, you can tell why it was so deliberate from the start. Kind of they kind of held the information, like kind of what each character knows. We're kind of learning as per like the characters are learning. So yeah, just knowing what Baphomet knows this issue, kind of yeah, we learn a lot of the missing parts. But man, yeah, it adds a lot to the story for sure.
Everything's just starting to make a little more sense, and it
Yes.
makes a lot of sense why they saved her issue for
Yeah.
last.
Mm,
And everything's just starting to connect a little bit more.
100%.
totally. So yeah, let's talk about the creative team real quick before we dive into this issue. This time we've gone ahead and pulled a few pages to show while we talk about the issue. But like as always, we have about 40% of the issue, like of pages from the issue shown. This other 60% we're not going to show because we want people to buy the book. It's so good. Support it. Support these amazing creators. But without further ado, so we've got writers Noah Gardner and Ryan Parrott, artist John J. Pearson with Lola Bonado, letter Hassan Atzman Al-How, logo designer Phonographics, designer and editor Michael Basuto, and production artist Rich Folks. And we've got covers by John Pearson and Tia Roxay. So let's go into it. first page is first. You get this awesome page. I love how she's flipping off the reader.
Yeah, pretty
Like,
much.
is she using her middle finger to light the cigarette? Is that
Yes,
what happened?
yes,
Okay.
yes, yes. Yeah, that's pretty badass.
Yeah, that's a
No,
fantastic.
no, that's so great. Yeah, do you guys think like, and I think all these are drawings behind, but I was obsessed with like all the artwork that was kind of behind here too, like laying around. But there was a couple there that like are so good they literally look like pictures
Yeah,
themselves, like
yeah.
that guy there. But I have no idea. This guy's so good, so
Is that
I'm not sure.
is that Slender Man at the top next to the word earlier? That looks like
I have
Slender
no
Man.
idea. That's a
Yeah,
good
it could.
question.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
some of these are crazy. Like just those little subtleties. Like he had to do like all these individual pieces of art, and like you even see them on the next page, like all across her wall and everything. But yeah,
Mhm.
no, that's so cool. One question I had for you guys is we really get to like know, obviously she's kind of been with the humans, dealing with the humans herself, like she's kind of been in normal life for a while, like she's been a freshman, she's been going to high school for this long. Do you guys take it as like she's the only one who's experienced this, or do you think like Nero and that have gone to school and stuff themselves?
I think they've definitely had some type of like normalcy in their young age, especially that
Mhm.
it looks like the Morgenstern family is not just doing like the devil's work, so to say,
Yeah,
but they're also involved in society. This like the Morgenstern Corporation, whatever the heck they may do. But what I found interesting, and I may be jumping ahead a little bit, so spoiler alert, is that B is the only one out of the three of them that's half human. So
yes,
I think that definitely
Mhm.
makes her
She's
the
born
most
from
unique out of one all.
the other wife, right?
yeah,
The
Yeah, I
other wife.
forget her
Olivia,
name though. I forget
Yeah,
her name,
yeah.
but
Olivia,
yes, she is.
Olivia. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
that,
So
yeah,
she has the. I mean, there's definitely some things in this issue that kind of have me raise my eyebrows, which we'll get to later on. But
yeah,
this first page is a really good page to open the book up to. And here we have like the issue in the background right here, celebrating the Infernals. But it's a really good first page. It sets the mood, and like Charlie said, those images in the background, they do a really good job of making it feel very atmospheric. I mean, it feels very dark, very. It reminds me, like when you see the opening to Buffy and they have all the stuff in the background. You know what I mean? And it's just
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, so it's really cool. It sets the atmosphere. I really love like the edgy nature of her pose and everything. Like her just like she, you could tell she's a spawn of the spawn of Antichrist, right? She's a
yeah,
spawn square. But yeah, so it's really cool. I really like her monologue here. It feels like she's a teenager, and I really appreciate that because I feel like often it's difficult when writers are writing younger characters. It's difficult to articulate like their voice well, but I think here Bee's voice is really good. I think she sounds like a
yeah.
teenager. She has this immature but somewhat also mature look on things, being someone who's a little bit she's not as loud as the other two.
For
She's much
sure.
more reserved. Yeah.
And it's cool because a lot of these teenagers have these emotions like, oh, I don't care about this, oh,
Mhm.
I'm like this, but it's cool for her because she legitimately knows what's going to be happening to Earth. Like she knows more of these things, like all these bad things going on with these people. Like she told her counselor obviously that his wife was cheating on on him, like so she just knows a lot more than other people, so it's kind of it's an interesting perspective for sure of just like what she knows and what she's going through right now.
And I think for me too, the most interesting part about her is that human side. Because if you compare her to her other two brothers, they know the same thing she knows, if not more, right? But they don't really take it to heart. They don't get like super depressed. They're just out there being at least one of them is being super hedonistic. But for her, I feel like that human side is kind of what makes her have that gloom
Yeah.
outlook that
Yeah.
like I
and
don't care about anything, nothing really matters. It's all gonna get doomed anyways.
And to me, I'm starting to think a little bit like maybe Abe came to Earth and met Olivia, and obviously Baphomet, she has a part of Olivia in her. But I'm wondering if maybe like the other two could have like grown up in hell, maybe, and just don't really have that connection to
Oh,
humanity.
mhm.
I'm wondering that.
That's
But yeah,
interesting.
it's yeah, I'm not really sure, but they're just Abe and Baphomet's whole dynamic here is super cool. Love them. They just have the dynamic. They can pass the cigarette back and forth. They know where to be.
Yeah,
It's so
yeah.
great. It's so great.
So yeah, the next page, her dad comes in and she's smoking. She's like, "Dad, shit, what are you doing?" And it's like he doesn't even care. He's just like, "Mind if I join you?" And he just takes the
Yeah.
cigarette and he starts joining her. And then he starts telling her, "There's a war coming, darling, right? And we're gonna win. But when I die, the house of Morgenstern will fall.
Why does he
I can't,
sound like that?
yeah,
Why does he sound like that?
exactly."
And it kind of
But
makes
my
sense
favorite,
too.
no, but my
Oh, that's
favorite
hilarious.
part, like the edge, like the best part of this page is like when she's hugging him, she takes the drag over his shoulder, bro. She's not like straight up, just keep smoking. Like, come on, dude, that's amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah,
And she
I
looks
do.
sad too. She actually looks
Yeah,
upset.
she looks sad. She definitely looks like she's gonna miss her dad, and
Mhm.
I don't know. I don't know if it makes me think, is she gonna miss like the lack of responsibility, because now things are gonna fall on her shoulders and decisions are gonna have to be made. So is she gonna miss him as a person, or is she gonna miss the idea of like this stalemate where like he's in control, but like there's not necessarily all this responsibility,
That's true.
over the kids, right? Because now they have to like there's all these forces making their moves and they have to decide what role they're going to play in the future. So it has me wondering, like, is she going to miss the
Okay.
calm before the storm, or is
That's
she
interesting.
going to
That's
miss the
interesting.
person? Yeah, I'm not so sure, because like
I
we
think it's
like
a little
right
bit of
she has a
both, to
very
be honest.
yeah, I think it's a little bit of both, because she has that human heart, so she
Yeah.
probably
Yeah.
feels. But I do want to say, like, here he's going to say, what does he say? He says, "It means when I'm gone, you're going to have to make a decision, betray your brothers or die." And he says, "I hope when the time comes, you find the courage to do the former." And then he says, "Ain't no sense letting a little thing like family get in the way of your salvation." Which is like, honestly, given how reflective, like how introspective Abe's been in the past few issues, including the beginning of this one, I think that's a really thing. Like, do you guys think he's playing her? I think he's playing her. I think he's trying to get in her head and like get her to make a move, because like I don't.
Okay.
Yeah,
Interesting.
because
Yeah.
it's
Okay.
such a weird thing to say, right? Like it's almost like he understands that she has that human aspect in her, and he's trying to be like, "No, put it aside, like, like,
I
don't worry about that."
I honestly took it in a way too, like which could be. I do actually really like that, but I think he's known for a while his position, but kind of him meeting Olivia, he kind of maybe accepted his fate, knowing what's going to happen, not living up to his end of the bargain with the devil, and
Mm.
I think he's kind of accepted that fate. So I think he's known this for a while, what's going to happen, this war to come. So I think maybe he could just be preparing the only child of the child of the wife he truly loves, maybe, and to
Mm.
protect her. Because yeah,
Yeah.
the others, it's not so much like they're not Olivia's kids, it's like they're also probably Lilith's kids too. So
Yeah.
like maybe
Yep.
he's just like, these people have no shred of hope in them, like they just
Mhm.
have no like. So I don't know, maybe that could be
100% pure
something,
hell in
you know
them
what I
kids.
mean? Oh yeah, they don't really
100%
yeah,
pure hell.
especially Nero for sure. That guy's a nut job. But yeah,
Yeah.
no, there's a lot going on. It's really great. It is really great. And you still don't
Yeah.
get to see her eyes. Just still see the
I don't
black
think we
eyes
ever
throughout.
do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
every single panel. It's
I
crazy.
do love that you can see the subtle tears, like right there, right here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very subtle tears there. So there's definitely some sadness there. And I do want to say, in the next page, which I'll skip the paper in the page in a second. We don't have the next page up, we have the page after, but they're both the same scenario, which is we move away from this to back to Rain Driscoll and the rest of the kids in the modern context, like what's happening, and we see that like there's a plan. Uh, Nero and what's the other one's name? I always forget.
Jackal?
Jackal.
Jackal, right. Nero and Jackal, they were complaining last issue about what to do. It looks like Jackal has a move, and we see the move in play here. So Rain Driscoll is giving a speech on live television, and he says, "Because it's too overwhelming, too complicated, how do we use all that information to change the future? That is what a predictive algorithm like Epiphany does. Now, the plan was to provide it to everyone free of charge, because I believe the best way to help humanity was to level the playing field. But if everyone can change the world, then really no one can. Here I am, sitting on the most valuable resource since the invention of fire, ready to hand it over to the Neanderthals, but all you're going to do is burn down the forest." So he says, What is he? Wait. He says, so I guess you could say I had my own epiphany. Instead of dismantling the whole system and starting over, I'm going to leverage this power to reshape the world. And as of today, Epiphany is available to the highest bidders. My company alone controls the future, and we're open for business. So that's where you get the page here. And that's where you see Rain Driscoll is actually not giving the speech. It's Jackal disguised as Rain Driscoll, and Rain Driscoll is just you could like the rage on his face is palpable. Like you could just see him sweltering with anger, and then you see the person working with him is so angry. She's just raging. She's like, you literally betrayed your entire persona. You went back on everything you promised us, and we won't let you get away with it. And you could see all the people he worked with formerly flipping him off. All these random citizens who are going to benefit from Epiphany are just super angry, and like. I feel like everyone, like us reading this book, we all knew it was Jackal, right? Like we all knew Rain's too holier than thou to like make a move like
They
this.
set it
But I
up in
want
the
to
last
say
issue too. Like the last few pages,
exactly.
they kind of set it up.
So you see, obviously, he goes back to the roof, and that's when Jackal goes back to being Jackal, and you see Rain Driscoll yelling at him. And I love this dialogue. He says, "Do you realize how divinely fucked you are, you shape-shifting little shit? I don't know how you got around the angelic defenses, but I promise when the heavenly hosts get here, they're going to peel you like a fucking banana." Like, I don't know how God would approve of this language. I'm just saying, but then you get this really awesome moment where you see an angel descending from above, and they say, "No, my sweet child." It's so cool, and they're like, "I'm afraid that is not how this will end," and that's where you see, like, okay, something happened between Rain and heaven and the angels, because like not only are they like, there's just so many moves being made, and he's kind of like being thrown under the bus.
Yeah.
And what did you guys think of this?
Yeah, it was so weird because like before we thought completely the angels were protecting him, like they tried to attack him and he had that like those weird eyes and that spell to protect him from all the attacks. So yeah, we thought very much like it was almost weird though that the angels would just give this guy this much power. But yeah, I guess who knows what motives they have. But yeah, it was pretty surprising, and I liked it. I didn't think we were gonna. I wouldn't say like we lost Rain Driscoll, but like I would say like I didn't think his descent from glory would happen this fast.
Just quickly.
You know?
Yeah. Because the way they set it up is that he was basically invincible, like by the grace of God, literally.
Yep.
But no, it looks like the devil works harder. Oh, also the design of the angel. Did they ever
It's
get
fantastic.
named?
No.
I don't know. I don't think so.
I don't think they did, but the design is amazing. I love how the face is
Yeah.
almost always covered too. It's
Yes.
like they're holier than their face is too holy to be seen by like mere mortals. It's great.
Yep.
Yeah. And he says, in the next page we go back to Abe Morgenstern, and he's in his deathbed. He's really sick. He's got the drip plugged in, and you begin to see more of his introspection, more of his self-doubt. And then he said that's where he admits for the first time. And I love the lettering when the word afraid is highlighted, but he's like, that's right, I said it, afraid. And he's like afraid of dying. You can see he's sweating. But I feel like this moment, it's funny because we're talking about epiphanies, right? Like Epiphany with the company, Epiphany with like Jackal pretending to be Rain and then having his own epiphany. And then here it looks like Abe himself had an epiphany. And I think it's at this moment where we see the plan of what's going to happen next. But
you think he made that decision right there?
Yes, because it looks like it looks like he was like, I like I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna take someone down with me.
It was in denial, maybe. I don't know. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. No, that
especially since last issue, his
this,
other wife was
this
like,
moment to me,
like, you're coming back to me, right?
Yes, this moment to me is like when like Omni-Man turns to the camera and says like, "I miss my wife." Like that's kind of that same, you know. It's like fuck. It's like I've changed.
Yeah, it's also like it's really interesting here. You see that in my experience, you see a man's soul most clearly when he's afraid, and it's interesting because he's just said he's afraid, and so if you look at like him being white there, is that trying to say that his soul is now less dark because he chose to embrace that choice where he's going to not only die, but he's going to take some really, he's going to try to take something really dark with him. Yeah, because I think there's some sort of
that's interesting
wordplay,
especially that like 2 panels later, then his silhouette is dark again.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know what? I don't know if we know this or not, but I'm starting to think in a way maybe Lucifer, like the dad, could have came to Earth and had a baby with a human maybe, and that's why Abe's having these epiphanies. That could be, I don't know, maybe he's part human. I don't know.
Trigon style.
There you go. There you go. Yeah,
It's
I'm
just
not
trying to
I'm not sure,
impregnate
but
humans.
he
Yeah.
really is like he's not what he was like designed to be, like he's really I don't know, he's really not thinking how he should be on like what his role is, and he's kind of just drifting in this different path that no one ever expected. But it's yeah, no, it's really good. But I like your point. I think that is pretty spot on.
Because the whole monologue where it's like sinner or saint, angel or demon, that's when you know if there's anything left to redeem. Don't believe me? Watch what he does in the face of his greatest fear, the choice he makes when he's staring into oblivion, and ask yourself when the darkness closes in, does he stand his ground or does he give in to the shadows? And at first you think, like, okay, the way this is framed, you're thinking like, and spoiler guys, we're talking full spoilers. So
Yeah.
yeah. So the way this is framed, you're thinking like, no, he needs to survive. Like he needs to go back to his wife because he's given into the fear. But then you realize he hasn't necessarily given into that fear. It's more the fear of like, what is he leaving behind if he were to die? Like, and is Lilith something like he wants to leave behind? And
Yes.
that's where we see the next scene. Oh yeah, that was the next page. Okay, so the next scene is we're back with Rain Driscoll, and they're talking about the thing, and we'll revisit the whole Abe part shortly because we want to follow the events of the stories. But we see the angels say that today's events have transpired exactly as they were intended, and that's where Rain's like really upset because he's like, "You're teaming up with the bad guys," and then they said, "Yes, but behold the majesty of your works. The disillusioned masses have already taken to the streets, galvanized by your announcement. A social and political revolution long in the making has been tipped over the edge. That outcome is worth more than any algorithm. An entire generation, their future betrayed by a single brazen act of greed." So the angel is explaining, but that's when he says, "That's not fair. I'm supposed to be a hero." And I thought this part was so sketchy. He's like, "There's a guaranteed place in heaven if you remain silent and play the part. Eternal
Yeah, like
paradise in exchange for the
so,
destruction of your reputation." Yeah,
even the
it's
panel
like,
before that, when the angel says all thanks to you, Ryan Driscoll, like even that smile just looks sinister.
yeah, evil.
Dude,
Yeah,
Yeah.
like you always wanted to be a martyr. My
you
God.
could like he sounds a lot like a demon at this point. The way he's
Yes.
tricking with you, the way
Yes.
he's
Yeah.
fucking with you,
Yeah.
like he's like there's not much difference in the way that
Hey,
they're
listen,
really
listen,
tricking,
listen,
and yeah, no,
listen.
it's
Satan was an angel at some point. I think
hey, you're
that might
right.
be
You're
kind of
very right.
what they're
Yeah,
playing on
Mm,
here. Like you really can't
mm,
trust either side.
yeah.
mm.
No, that is true. I like
That's
that.
really interesting, and
I like
it's
that.
really slimy. It's like a very like lawyer's way of interpreting the
Yeah.
law. It's almost,
Yeah.
it's, you know what I mean, like where they're finding
Yeah.
technicalities to like
Yeah.
misinterpret or
But why
reinterpret
are they
something.
fucking with the law? Like why?
Mm,
Like that's the biggest question. Like why are they here?
mm.
Why are they fucking with?
I think to
Yeah,
them
yeah.
ultimately they want points, right? They want like the people to be on the right side. So
Okay, okay. Okay,
that's
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 cool.
my
That's
take
cool.
on
I
it,
like
right?
that. I
Like
like that.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So it's
that makes
but
sense.
like I love that Rain's like unable to comprehend it. Like he's crying, and I think that's realistic. Like I think if something happened to someone like this, even if they were guaranteed eternal paradise, it's just like you literally just change the trajectory of their entire life, and that's still something that they have to go through with it. You can't just commit suicide and go to eternal paradise. Like part of the price he has to pay is to be silent, is to embrace this like
Mhm.
martyrdom. So like I really think I really appreciate, first of all, the art's gorgeous and scripting and everything's fantastic, but I really appreciate that moment, just seeing him like face palm, like he can't comprehend what just happened. Like it's too much for him to understand in the moment. It's too much for him to take. And I really like that. I think that's realistic. Like I don't think it's realistic
Mhm.
if he just gets up and he's like, "Okay, I'm going to heaven. Like time to go live my life in shame." Like it's like, dude, like that like he was supposed to be so much more. And it makes me wonder, are we going to see more of Rain Driscoll? Is he going to try to go to the other side maybe? Is he going to compromise this eternal paradise? Either way, this was a fantastic arc for him. And I quite enjoyed this turn of events. And I will say, like, I love Nero's like, Nero's always like, ready to fight. He's a hothead. So he's like, shit, do we have to fight now? And he's just like, our business is
Yeah.
concluded. Leave us. Like, be gone, pest. But he just points at him and he's like, fine, but we're taking the chopper. It's just like, dude, it's
All
so
right.
like,
All right.
it's
There's a
so,
chopper.
it's such a kid's
Yeah, no, that
thing.
was funny.
It's like,
That
sure,
was
whatever you need to do, bud, like
yeah.
whatever it is, bud. So yeah, they do take the chopper next, but you have this really cool page here. So he says, "Can't wait to see you explain this one to Dad, little brother." And he says, "Job's done. We got what we came for." Blah blah blah, and they're arguing. But then Jackal mutters under his breath, "Yeah, well, it's not my problem anymore." And then you see him say, like you see Nero say, "What's that?" And then he's just like, "Oh, let's just go home." I really like his face in this panel, and like actually both of them, their expressions are amazing. Like the artwork here by John Pearson is incredible. There's so much going on in their faces. It's very emotive, very expressive, and yeah, I can almost like feel like the tenseness of the
Yeah.
situation. So yeah, awesome stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Next
Then,
page
yeah, go
is a
ahead.
big page. We're back to the Abe Morgenstern events, and they are doing a wedding. Except, I first of all, I love that the wedding. It's almost like it's like Bizarro is like the opposite of Superman, and he says everything. Yeah. This is like a Bizarro wedding where it's like everything you would normally say in a wedding. They're saying the complete opposite. So
Yeah.
they're like,
Oh, I know.
"Do
That's
you,
great.
Lilith Kiribidis Morgenstern, take this man to be your husband, to resent and despise, to loathe his every breath, to question his worth for as long as you both shall live?" And she's like, "I do." And she's like, "Happily, I do." And he's like, "Do you, Abraham George Morgenstern, take this woman to be your wife, to fear and avoid, to begrudge her every request, to yearn for the time before you met for as long as you both shall live?" And it's just like, man, I actually laughed out loud when I was reading it. I was like, damn. And that's when Olivia shows up, and you're like, uh-oh. Olivia shows up, and she's just like, what the hell is going on? And it's weird because one of the last things he does before he leaves his room is that he yells Olivia, almost like looking for her to make sure that she's not there, she's not present to walk in on this interruption. So she shows up, and it's not looking too good. But they do seal the marriage, right? Oh, I'm going ahead here. I didn't bring the next page, but it's really cool. Their hands are wrapped in the fires of hell, and their souls are then bound, and they're pronounced husband and wife. And then fucking Lilith just leaps at him, trying to make out with him, and she's like, "Let's consummate the union." And he says, "Here's a better idea. Why don't I kill you once and for all?" And then he says, She says, "You seem to have forgotten my love. When our souls are bound, you are not impervious." Oh, he says to her, "You're not like immune to my powers anymore." And that's where you get this splash page. First of all, gorgeous composition on this page. There's so much happening on this page. It's beautiful. We get to see the real form of Lilith, and she's this ugly, almost like succubus looking demon. It's like really just
Disgusting, like a
gross.
snake. Yeah.
Yeah, like a snake. Yeah, very
Yeah.
slithery and shit. Yeah, and they're both exposed. I love this panel right here where she just like slices through him, just lacerates his innards, just blood spilling everywhere. And that's where, sorry, she kills the man who pronounced them husband and wife. And now she's going for Abe, and he's unleashing like hellfire out of his hands, trying to burn her. They're just fighting this dramatic fight. Like I said, composition is gorgeous, gorgeous art style. And I'm thinking, damn, they're gonna kill each other, right? And that's where you get this interruption of the fight, and like someone just stabs Lilith through the heart, and you see that it's Olivia, and she has the amazing line. She says, "Get away from my husband, you bitch!" And you see Olivia just bleeding out on the floor there, and that is the last of Olivia. We see Abe say their goodbyes, and right as everything around them is burning in this unholy union. I love this line he says to her. He says, "I'm sorry, Olivia, for everything. You should know you made the world harder to destroy." It's like the nicest thing the devil's ever said to a human being. What would you guys think of this?
I didn't think he would die this early, to be honest. So it's definitely a surprise for me. But I think it worked out well and really sets up the next arc.
Yeah, for
Mhm.
sure. I wonder, will we get to see his like spirit form as well, maybe,
I
or
think
like because
so.
this
I
is
think
just his
so.
physical body that died, just like, and for her, she needed the spirit to come out to be able to kill it. So yeah,
Mm.
I'm unsure about that, but I think it's also really interesting that Lilith says here. This kind of goes back to our point. He says the worst thing you did, like know what the worst part is think of what our sons could have been if their father wasn't such a kind of like a weak person. So that
Mm.
I think shows too, especially why he like maybe has a little bit of disdain for the two sons, and maybe like he kind of doesn't have as much hope as he has for Baphomet there. So yeah, that's really cool. But yeah, I agree. I totally didn't think he was gonna die this soon, but man, definitely sets up a lot of events circling into motion
Yeah,
here. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's crazy.
And I did love, like, yeah, he bleeds out in Olivia's arms, kind of a tragic ending, but at least one that's a little bit more hopeful in some senses, But then you see like the kids show up and they're like, what happened? Did he actually? And they're like, he's gone. And I love the monologue right here where they're all standing together and it says for a second there, it almost felt like we were a real family. Not the happy kind or anything, just a regular old resentment filled, emotionally stunted, need each other, but you don't know why family. Felt kind of nice, I'm not gonna lie. And then they were like, like I
Yeah.
felt like I belonged. You could
And
see
that was
like
Baphomet
the
saying that too,
yep.
right? Like
Hmm.
that's yeah, that's huge for her. And I thought it was cool too that it was all in white there. Like when she finally
Hmm.
has hope, like her word bubbles aren't in complete like darkness, So but then
Hmm.
she goes right back to it. But just for a second, just like
Just for a
says,
second, yeah.
she says it felt kind of nice. Not gonna lie.
Until Nero realizes that there's the body of his dead mother over there near him, and they're just staring at her. And then they're like, Olivia, what did you do? And she's like, I can explain. And then that's where Nero starts to get ideas that maybe B and Olivia are working together, because he's like, was this your plan all along? Kill them both and take over Bethlehem? And I love what B says. She's like, watch yourself, fuck nuts. That's my mom you're talking to. And he says, out of my way, you walking abortion. So he's like, "Did you kill my mom?" And he was, and Olivia admits that she was trying to kill him. Nero, I did what I had to. You don't believe me? Fine, but it's the fucking truth. But then you see this lightning strike, and something's happening, almost like a sign from above, which is literally appears is what it is.
Yeah.
So they walk over to the house to Bethlehem, and they see that a gate opens into the distance, and they see Sam walking out with a fiery sword, which I gotta say is one of the hardest. Like you can hear Black Sabbath playing like in the background,
So
like while that happens, right?
so cool.
So oh my god, that's a hugely amazing scene. Just seeing Sam there with the fiery sword, but then the next page is insane. So that's the death and the mom dead on the floor, and then the thunder lightning, and then the next scene is this. You see fucking Sam and the two kids, Mr. Saturday and Miss Sunday. I think that's the right one. And then
Yeah.
you see the woman, I forget the woman, the good woman they were trying to make a deal with at the beginning.
Evelyn
Evelyn,
Endo.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you see
This
just all these hell forces
the
behind them.
army of hell
Oh
pouring
my
out of the
god.
gates of hell. No,
Yep.
this is crazy. I hope Evelyn got powers. I don't really know what she's doing here in a fight, compared to all the rest. But I hope they equipped her with some powers or something. But no, this was a crazy page, like all the lightning and stuff in the back. And I think it's very cool. Like this is obviously like completely the moment that Abe was talking about. Like there's gonna be a war once I die. Like shit's gonna go down. So yeah, it's this setup for the next arc with Baphomet. I think was really cool. Her dealing with like her struggling. Should she kind of betray her brothers or not? And I think she made the. I don't know if she made the right choice, but I think she made morally the right choice for sure.
I think she's, and I think on some level too, they're both scared of her. Like I feel like if we got
Yeah.
into a fight, she would kick their ass.
Yeah,
I love I
okay,
love
I
how
agree.
her eyes are like sweltering there with like fire and
Yeah.
rage. You could see just
Dark
like the
side.
like yeah, exactly. And then
Yeah.
these two are still fighting, like still bitching, like literally the forces of hell are about to close in on them and they're still complaining. And that's where she has her big moment. I love this shot right here by John Pearson. She says, this is exhausting. Stop bitching. We need to work together. We need to send the real demons back to hell. And she tells them how like she was actually like meant to betray them because that's what her dad told him to do, but she's not going to do that. And she's like, are you guys ready to shut the fuck up and basically do what needs to be done? And I love this sequence here where they look at each other and then she turns around and all three of them just look at you and they're like, so here's the thing, Sam. You really want Bethlehem? Come and fucking take it. It's just
Yeah.
like, dude,
So
what a way to end
yeah.
this issue. And then we already know, Ryan told us that when we had him on the show for the interview, that the first arc is 5 issues. So the next issue is the final issue of the first arc. So it's probably going to be an all out like war issue, right? Like just murder and fighting most of the issue. So I'm very, very excited to see that. But wow, what a way to end the issue. Like, look at the gorgeous colors up there in the sky. Look at that amazing lettering. I love how they emphasize like the yell over it. And so yeah, it's the three kids united now, united through tragedy to battle against the forces of hell. And they have to fight one of their own, which is Sam, or at least one of their own. So awesome issue. I was telling the guys before we recorded, I think this is the best one yet, just because it really all came together here. All the other issues have been fantastic, but it's clear that we were building up to this one, and everything just came
Would it be
together and
safe
worked
to
in
say,
concert.
maybe besides the first or the second, but to me, it's like they've almost been like getting better and better. Like the second one was a
Mhm.
little better than the first one. Third one
Mhm.
was the best. Like every one we've said has been like
I mean,
almost
the
the best.
stakes
So
keep getting
that's
higher and
perfect.
higher with
Yes,
every
Yep.
issue. We're
that's
only
what you
4
want,
issues
right?
in.
And that's
Yeah.
that's a good sign. That's a
I
good
think
sign.
we know these characters so well just 4 issues in. Like I'm really impressed with how
Yeah.
well I feel like we know these characters and their personas and everything just 4 issues in. And even Olivia, like I feel like we learned a lot about her in this issue in some
Yeah.
ways. So I'm really impressed. Love this issue. There's also some cool pinups in the back. I love that they do that.
Yeah.
There's some cool pinups in the back. Although I will say, Ryan, Noah, anyone listening, if you guys want to do a letter section, if you have space in the future, we would love that. And I think Ryan came
Yes.
up with the name Burn After Reading, which I think is perfect. So if you guys want to do that, so we can send in some fan letters and get the goods going, get the talks going. But yeah, I know I love this issue. For me, I think this was a 10 out of 10. It was just built up perfectly. Everything I wanted to happen in this issue happened. All the beats that I wanted the story to hit were hit, and were exceeded my expectations. So I'm definitely looking forward to the next issue. And between this and the return of Rogue Sun, it's just been such a great time to be a parrot head and to
Yeah.
be a fan of supernatural comics, I guess you can say. So yeah, what do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm super excited. I don't know if you got a chance to look at the cover for next issue, but it's like it's
It's Abe,
oh
right?
my god, what's her name? Yeah, it's Abe on almost like on a cross,
Yeah, on a cross with
and you
snakes.
can see his. I think the snake is his real form.
Yeah,
Like I think
that's what it looks like to
this is
me.
his real form, but like the way he's set up, it looks almost like Jesus like. So
Yeah.
I'm interested to see where it's gonna go from now.
Man, that's
I
so
think
good.
this is a great hint to tell us that we'll definitely see like some of his afterlife,
Yes.
whether it be
Yes.
probably not heaven, but you know what I mean.
Yes. His true form. I think so too. And do you guys think we're gonna get a spotlight in the next issue like we had for the first four, like Olivia or Evelyn, kind of like a little backstory for them? Or
Maybe it's gonna be from Satan's perspective now.
I would like that. I would like
Who
that.
else
I
is
would like
left,
that.
right?
Yeah, I would love that. Oh,
That would be really cool if they
Yeah.
did that.
Yeah.
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 I hope
Very cool.
I feel like
Or
Satan.
Sam, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe Sam. Yeah, because Satan's probably like the morning star of the series.
Yeah.
He's probably like the last boss. But I'm very curious if they do
Yeah.
that. I will say though, if you look at the in the latest Image Comics Solicits, which released today, there's no new issue of Infernals, so they might be doing a little hiatus. But they did solicit the trade paperback, which is going to be $17.99 for the first 5 issues, which I think is fantastic. And it has the same cover as Infernals #1, which is a gorgeous, just amazing cover. So yeah, if you guys, if some of you out there have been on the fence, or if you're really enjoying it and you want some of your friends to get into it, let them know that the trade's coming out, and it's coming out September, I believe, September 25th. So September 25th, we're getting the Infernals Volume 1. We'll probably do a giveaway. We'll probably pick one up and do a giveaway. So keep an eye out for that. But yeah, guys, Infernals #4, what an incredible issue. And just double checking, the next issue, Infernals 5, is slated for release August 7th. So that's a month and a half away. It's probably the longest gap we've had between issues so
No,
far.
it's
Yeah.
not too bad though.
It's not too bad. Totally
Yeah.
fine. Yeah, I can't wait. This has been such a quality series, and if you're someone who's like, oh, this John Pearson kid, like he has really good artwork. Where can I see him? He's also doing Hellblazer, like he did at least the last issue of Hellblazer. He did some artwork. So, and I know he's done a little bit for Department of Truth. I'm sure he's done more.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to see more of him in the industry. He has such incredible artwork, and it really fits this kind of style. Like this style works so well for this kind of story. So love it. And Ryan Parrott also, Rogue Sun just returned. So if you're really enjoying Ryan Parrott's writing on this, check out Rogue Sun, which is a massive first book. It's also supernatural. There's also family elements, albeit slightly different, a little less drama, but a lot more action. And I mean, they both have a lot of action, just a lot more superhero action, I guess you could say. But yeah, love this issue. Loved seeing the world through B's eyes. Loved seeing the spotlight on her. Couldn't recommend this book highly enough. Please check it out if you haven't. And yeah, any last words, guys, before we end it?
No, don't think so. Had a blast.
think we
Happy to be
covered
back,
everything.
and yeah, it's excited for. I think Radiant Black's our next thing, or no,
Yep.
Rogue Sun. Yeah,
Let me double
and
check.
Supermassive's coming up, and Supermassive's coming up. So
Yeah,
we there's a lot there's a lot coming out. So we
So
been
Rogue
getting new
Sun,
pages or sketches and stuff from Stefano.
yeah.
Look incredible.
Based on the release dates, we're getting Rogue Sun and Radiant Black on the same day. So July
Cool,
3rd,
okay.
we'll have Rogue Sun 20 and Radiant Black 29 and 29.5. So that's really exciting.
Can't wait.
Looking forward to that. Yeah, and they just released the solicits today, and Massiverse trading card game should be releasing September 25, according to the Image Comics solicits, which is actually slightly sooner than the Kickstarter, which to me makes no sense really. But we've heard clarifications from Souls Game Studio on the Discord that you know they're still figuring it out. They're not entirely sure. Ideally, they would get the Kickstarter into the people's hands before the open release date. So we'll see how that evolves over time. And you know, there's been a lot of delays in the Massiverse lately, so I could see also the trading card game getting from the Lunar's end or from the solicits end getting delayed a week or two for general release. That could happen. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. And if you like our show, if you like the Rogue Sun podcast, you can support us by leaving a review or liking, subscribing, and leaving a review anywhere you listen to podcasts. It helps us out a lot. Helps get our show out there. But yeah, that's pretty much it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us today. We'll see you next time on July 3rd with review for Rogue Sun 20 and Radiant Black 29 and 29.5. Take it easy, everyone. Go Rogue.